Hello everyone, this is Stephen Balch, your instructor for Computer Applications Online at Ozarka College. In this Part 4 video for Excel Module 3, I'm going to take you through pages 3-39 to the end of the module. And basically in this part of the module we are creating a clustered column chart to the workbook and making some changes to the chart and so forth. We're learning how to add filters and how to change the data labels and so forth. And then towards the end of the module we will change the sheet tab names and add color to those, and then we will change some of the values for the what-if assumptions and see how it affects our worksheet data or calculations. And then finally, the last thing that we'll do in the module is learn how to use goal seek. Alright, so let's kind of get started here. If you haven't already worked through page 3-39 in the book, you'll need to do that before going through the steps in this video. Alright, so on the bottom of page 3-39 in the book, it tells us some information about adding a clustered column chart. And we added, if you'll remember in Module 1, we learned how to add a pie chart. And so adding a clustered column chart is going to be very similar to that. Alright, on page 3-40 it talks about the category names and the data series. And you have to keep that in mind. There's always going to be two ranges that you're going to need to select when you create a chart. One of them is going to be the category range. It's going to basically have indicate the category names for the chart. And then the other one's going to be the data series, which is actually going to dictate how the size of each part of the chart. In other words, in our case, it's going to dictate the size of the columns in the chart. Alright, so let's kind of get started here. On the bottom of page 3-40, it wants us to select range A3 through G3. So A3 through G3. Alright, which are basically the months that we included as the column titles in our worksheet. Alright, and then while holding down the control key, we're going to select the range A9 through G13. Alright, so hold down the control key and select A9 through G13, which are basically all of our expenses. Okay, the names for our expenses and then the actual values for each month. Okay, so just make sure you have those ranges selected. Again, A3 through G3 and A9 through G13. Alright, so we've got the two ranges selected. Now, if you don't get both ranges selected, just keep trying it till you get it. Make sure remember you have to hold down the control key as you're selecting the second range. Alright, once you get both ranges selected, what we're going to do is click the Insert tab up on the ribbon, and we're going to click the Recommended Charts button, which is right here in the Charts group. Alright, and what that button does is that shows, based on the data that we have selected in our worksheet, it's going to show us the best charts, best kind of charts to create based on that data that we have selected. Alright, and in this case, we're going to, on page 3-41, we're going to click the first clustered column recommended chart, which is this one right here. Alright, and it'll have, when you click on it, it'll have the name over here on the right hand side, letting you know that that is the correct one. Clustered column is what we want to select there. And then We're going to click OK, and it's going to draw the chart. Now, as we learned in Module 1, and the same thing here, when we create a chart, it's going to float over, by default, it's going to be a floating chart, which is basically going to float over the worksheet data. Alright, and we have two options when we end up with a floating chart like this. We can either move it to another location on the same sheet as the worksheet, or, as we're going to do in this case, we're going to move it to a new sheet. Okay, so what we're going to do first here after the chart's created is we're going to click the Move Chart button up here on the right side of the Chart Tools Design tab up on the ribbon, just like we used in Module 1. So we're going to click Move Chart, and it'll open up the Move Chart dialog box. Alright, so we need to click on New Sheet in that dialog box, and then type in the name of the chart, which is shown there on Step 2 on the top of page 3-41. It wants us to name this Expense Chart Sheet. Alright, Expense Chart Sheet. And then you're going to click OK, and it will move it to a new sheet. Okay, so now you'll notice we have two tabs down here on the bottom of the workbook. Alright, we have the Excel chart sheet that we just created, and then the sheet 1, which is our worksheet that we created earlier. Okay, alright, so we've got that. Now on page 3-42, it wants us to insert the chart title. So we're going to go up here where it says Chart Title at the top of the chart and drag through the text to select it, and then type in what's shown there on Step 1 on page 3-42. So you're going to type in 6-month projected expenses as the title of the chart, and then we want to underline that text. We want to underline that title. So we're going to drag through the text that we just typed in there in the chart title box, and then we're going to go to the Home tab up on the ribbon and click on the Underline button. Okay. And then what it wants us to do is click somewhere outside just click kind of on an empty area of the chart, like in the top right hand corner like I did, and that way it deselects the chart title, where you can kind of see the results of your formatting. Alright, on the bottom of page 3-42, it wants us to add data labels to the chart. Okay, and so we're going to make sure the chart is selected, and you can see if it's selected by just looking at the outside of the chart. If there are sizing handles on the outside of the chart, then you know the chart is selected. Alright, once we've done that, we're going to click on the Chart Elements button on the upper right hand corner of the chart. Chart Elements is that first one there, the little plus sign. Alright, so we're going to click on that Chart Elements button, and it gives us the Chart Elements box there that we can choose from, and it wants us to click on Data Labels. Or actually, point to Data Labels. Don't click on Data Labels, just point to Data Labels. Point to the point to the arrow to the right of Data Labels, and then click, and it'll show a drop down box of options of different types of data labels that we can add to our chart. And then in that box it wants us to choose Outside End. So we're going to click on Outside End, and you'll notice it adds these numerical values that basically represents each bar in the chart, and it just kind of, instead of just showing the bar itself, it's showing the actual number that is represented by that size of a bar. Alright, and once we've done that, we're going to click on the Chart Elements button again, just to remove it from that menu from the screen. Okay. Alright, then on the bottom of page 3-43, it shows us how to apply filters to our chart. So, if you have certain data in your chart that you don't really want displayed in the chart, you can filter it out, and that's what we're going to kind of show here. Alright, so we're going to click the Chart Filters button, okay, on the top right hand corner of the chart, and it'll open up the Chart Filters drop down box here. And then what we want to do in the series section, which is at the top here, you'll notice it shows all of the types of expenses. And what we want to do, right now they're all checked, which means they're all included in the chart. What we want to do is click the bonus box there to take the check out of the box and to remove it from the chart, and then also do the same thing for salary. Alright, so what we've done here is we've basically told Excel that we want to remove bonus and salary from the chart. Alright, and then you're going to click the Apply button at the bottom of that drop down menu, and you'll notice it basically filters out those two fields that are those two titles that we filtered from the, that we said that we wanted to filter from the chart. Alright, click on the Chart Filters button again just to deselect it and remove the menu from the screen. Alright, on page 3-44, it wants us to add an axis title to the chart. Alright, and so we're going to click on the Chart Elements button, which is this one right here, the one that we used earlier. Chart Elements, we're going to click on that, and we're going to point to the Axis Titles option there, and click on the arrow to the right of Axis Titles, so that it shows the options for the Axis Titles. And then we're going to click Primary Vertical on that second menu there. Primary Vertical. Alright. And then click the Chart Elements button again to remove that menu. You'll notice now we have an axis title over here. We have a title for basically the vertical axis of our chart. And what it wants us to do here is select that placeholder text where it says axis title. Just drag through the text. And then you're going to type a $ there. And so that it indicates that all of these numbers on the left side of the chart, on the y-axis of the chart, or the vertical axis of the chart, that $ is going to indicate that all those numbers are currency. Alright. Then you're going to right click the axis title, that $ that we just typed in, and we're going to click on Format Axis Title down at the bottom of the shortcut menu, and you'll notice a Format Axis Title task pane appears on the right side of the screen. And what we want to do is click the Size and Properties button, which is that last of the three buttons there. Okay, so Size and Properties, and then we're going to under text direction here, this second box here under alignment, we're going to change that to horizontal. Alright, so we're just going to click on horizontal there, and you'll notice it changes the $ that we typed in on the axis here. It changes it from being vertical to horizontal so that we can see it better, because we're going to obviously, way we're looking at it now, the way we're looking at the chart is the way that we would actually print it out and use it. Alright, so we want that $ to appear where we can read it. Alright, once we've done that, we're going to close out of that Format Axis Title dialog box by clicking its Close button. Alright, on the bottom of page 3-45, it wants us to change the chart style. And we've done this before, so this is not anything different than we did in Module 1. Alright, so we're going to make sure the chart is selected. Again, look at the sizing handles around it. Make sure the sizing handles are around the outside of the chart. Okay. You might just click on the upper right hand corner of the chart just to make sure the whole chart is selected, not just part of it. Alright, then you're going to click the Chart Tools Design tab up on the ribbon. Okay, and you'll notice here's the chart styles gallery. If you want to see all of the chart styles available, just click the More button, and it basically expands that where you can see all of the various chart styles. And we want to apply style 6. These are all numbered numerically here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 right there. So style 6, and you'll be able to see the screen tip will pop up that tells you that is style 6. So click on style 6. And then on the bottom of page 3-46, it wants us to modify the chart axis number format. So what we're going to do there is right click any value on the vertical axis, which is over here where you see the numbers. So just right click on any of those values, and on the shortcut menu you're going to click on Format Axis down at the bottom. Okay, and that'll open up the Format Axis dialog box or task pane over on the right edge of the screen. And in that task pane we want to click the Axis Options tab. Just make sure the Axis Options tab is selected, and then you're going to click the number arrow here at the bottom. Okay, the very bottom there's a number option there, and you're just going to click on that arrow to the left of the word number, and it opens up that number section of the Format Axis Options box there. And then what you're going to do is change the number in the decimal places text box to 0. Right now it's displaying 2 decimal places, but since these are such large numbers anyway, there's not really any need for us to display the 2 decimal places. So what we're going to do is just delete the 2 there in decimal places and type a 0. And then close the Format Axis pane by clicking its Close button. Okay, so now all of the numbers over here on the vertical axis are whole numbers instead of having 2 decimal places. Alright. Now earlier we added the filters and the data labels to our chart. On the bottom of page 3-47, it wants us to remove those filters and data labels. So to do this, under to remove filters and data labels, step 1, we're going to click the Chart Elements button, which is this little plus sign here on the upper right hand corner of the chart, just like we used before. And we're going to click the Data Labels checkbox to remove the check mark for the data labels. Alright, so just click the little checkbox to the left of data labels, and that will remove all those data labels that we added. Remember the numbers that we added on the ends of each of the bars of the chart earlier. Alright, so it just removes those. And then you're going to click on the Chart Elements button again to close the gallery. And then you're going to click on the Chart Filters button, and that opens up that same Chart Filters menu that we looked at earlier to that we used earlier to apply the filters, what it wants us to do now is remove those filters. So to do that, you're just going to click on the bonus checkbox and the salary checkbox to add those check marks back in those boxes, and now you should have checks in all 5 of these boxes here: bonus, salary, site rental, marketing, and miscellaneous. Alright, once you make sure that all of those are checked, you're going to click on apply and then click the chart filter button to remove the menu. Alright, so now our chart should look just like the picture there on the bottom of page 3-47. It should show all of the all 5 of the expense titles at the bottom in the legend of the chart down here. Okay, and then it should show 5 bars for each month on the chart. Okay, instead of the 3 that we were displaying earlier. Okay, so all we did basically on page 3-47 at the bottom there is we just removed the data labels and the filters that we applied earlier. Okay, alright, so on page 3-48 it wants us to go through and do some work to the sheet tabs, specifically rename and color the sheet tabs. So we're going to change the color of the expense chart sheet tab to dark blue text 2. We learned how to do this in module 1, so all you do is right click on the sheet tab that you want to change the color of, and then on the shortcut menu you're going to point to tab color, and then it tells us the tab color that we want to change to is in column 4 row 1. So it's that one right there, dark blue accent 1. Alright, so we've got that changed, and then what we're going to do is double click on the sheet tab labeled sheet 1. Remember, when you double click on a sheet tab name, it goes into edit mode, and then it allows us to type in the new name. So in this case it wants us to rename this 6-month financial projection. And then you're going to press enter to finalize the name change. And then it also wants us to change the color of the 6-month financial projection sheet tab. So we're going to right click on it, and we're going to point to tab color just like we did earlier. And this one is called, the color that wants us to add is light turquoise background 2, which is column 3 row 1. So it's that one right there, light turquoise background 2. Alright, so we've got the tab colors changed. Now on the bottom of page 3-48, something that we did not learn to do to the sheet tabs in module 1 that it wants us to do here is reorder the sheet tabs. Normally you would want your worksheet to be the first sheet in your workbook, and then any charts or graphs would follow, would be to the right of the worksheet tab. And so if you'll notice right here, just by default, since we added the chart second, it added it to the left of the worksheet tab. And so to fix that, to basically change the order, what we're going to do is drag the 6-month financial projection tab, just point to it, and then hold down the left mouse button and drag it over to the left of the expense chart tab. And that way now we have the worksheet tab first and then the chart tab second. Alright, so once we've reordered the sheet tabs, what we're going to do next on page 3-49 is you're going to check the spelling of the worksheet. And actually on page 3-49, I'm going to let you work through that on your own, because we're not actually going to print the worksheet anyway, so you can just kind of work through that on your own. Just kind of look through that. On page 3-50, it shows you how to change the view of the worksheet. And the next few pages actually are things that I'm going to skip over. just because it's not going to change our worksheet. It's just going to change the view of the worksheet is all it's going to do. And just to save some time, I'm going to skip over that. You can work through it at home. It's not going to hurt anything, but just to save some time, I'm going to skip over that for now. And the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to basically skip over what shows you how to shrink and magnify the view of the worksheet, how to split the window, and how to freeze the worksheet columns. Again, that's not really going to change our worksheet. It's just going to change what you can view of the worksheet itself. Alright, so the next thing that we need to do is on the bottom of page 3-55, it wants us to learn about what-if analysis. Okay? What-if analysis is where we can go in and make changes to some of the assumptions, these what-if assumptions that we have down at the bottom of the worksheet, and see how it affects the data in our worksheet. Okay? And so what it wants us to do here is, and since we don't have, at this point, we haven't done any splitting of our worksheet, we can actually go all the way to the first bulleted item on the top of page 3-56. What it wants us to do is change the value in cell B20 to 7,500. Alright, so in B20, which is our bonus amount, it was 5,000. We're going to change that to 7,500. Alright, and just type in, basically, just look at that first bullet item on the top of page 3-56, and all we're doing is changing some of the assumptions to kind of analyze and see how it's going to change our data. For example, our operating income and total expenses and gross margin in the upper portion of our worksheet. Alright, and then it wants us to change cell B22, which is our salary percentage there, assumption. Wants us to change that to 25%. Alright, so we're just going to type in 25% there. Okay, so 25% in cell B22. And then it wants us to change the value in cell B25, which is the miscellaneous percentage there, or assumption. Wants us to change that to 3.50%. So 3.50%. Alright, and it says when we make all those changes, what we'll need to do is go ahead and click on an empty cell just to finalize that last entry. You'll have to, in order to get that 3.50 in cell B25 to actually be completed, you'll have to move to another cell, alright, or click the enter button up on the formula bar to complete that entry. And then once you do, what you'll need to do is you'll need to check the value in cell H16, alright, because it tells us what the number used to be before we made the changes to the assumptions. And then it also tells us there on that first bulleted item on page 3-56, it tells us what the new value should be for the total operating income. So it should now be $3,042,257.75. So make sure that number is correct. If it's not, then you'll need to backtrack and make sure that you entered these changes to the what-if assumptions correctly. Okay? Alright. Once we have all that done, we're going to click the Save button on the Quick Access toolbar to save all the changes that we've made to the worksheet. Alright. And then the last thing that I'm going to show you in this particular module is the goal seeking, which is talked about on page 3-56 in your book. Goal seek is where you can manipulate numbers in your worksheet and kind of see what changes you need to make to one number in the worksheet to get another number to be where you want it. Okay, so if you have a goal, for example, in our case, it says in this example we want to the 6-month operating income in cell H16 to be $3,500,000. The site rental percentage in cell B23 must decrease by 5.86% from 10% to 4.14%. So I was just reading off that first paragraph under goal seeking. All right, if you're wondering where I'm getting that from. But basically, let's just kind of get this started and you'll be able to kind of see it better, what goal seek is. So first thing it says on step 1 on the top of page 3-57, if necessary, use the scroll arrows in the lower pane to ensure you can view all of the what-if assumptions. So we need to be able to see all of the what-if assumptions at the bottom of our worksheet here. Okay, you're going to select cell H16, which is that operating income value. All right, total operating income for the year. All right, and then we're going to display the data tab up on the ribbon. Okay, so we're going to click the data tab up on the ribbon. And then we're going to click the What If Analysis button in the forecast group, okay, which is right there. And then you'll notice when we click on What If Analysis, there are 3 options there that pop up. One of those is Goal Seek. You're going to click on Goal Seek, okay, and it'll open up the Goal Seek dialog box. And in that dialog box, we're going to click the to value text box. All right here. Make sure that, first of all, make sure that H16 is the cell reference that's in the set cell box, this very first box. It should be if you clicked on cell H16 to start with. All right, so just make sure H16 is displayed in that first box, and then click the to value box, and you're going to type in the number that's shown there on the second bulleted item under step 2 on page 3-57. So you're going to type in 3, 500, 000. So basically 3,500,000. Okay, and then you're going to click the by changing cell box, and you're going to click on cell B23 to add that cell reference to the box there. So now this goal seek box should read set cell to H16 to value 3,500,000 by changing cell B23. Alright, once you get all that typed in, then you're going to click the OK button, and it's going to change this value in cell H16 to 3,500,000, and then it's going to change this value in cell B23, which is the site rental percentage or assumption, and it's going to change that by the amount that's needed to get this value in cell H16 to that goal that we wanted, which was 3.5 million. All right. And then once we've done all that, we're going to, and this is very, very important, make sure that when you, after you see the results of the goal seek, don't click OK, because we don't actually want to change the values in our worksheet to what the goal seek was. We're actually going to cancel. We're going to click the cancel button here so that it cancels that goal seek, because we wanted to basically learn how to use goal seek, which is why we went through the steps, but we did not want the goal seek to actually change our worksheet. Okay, so that ends this module. Anything that I didn't cover, you can just kind of read through and work through. Anything I didn't cover in the video is not actually going to change your worksheet. All right. So this is the end of Excel Module 3. Before you submit this assignment in Miles Arca, I would encourage you to go in and double check everything. Use the pictures that you see at the beginning of the module. Alright. And I've also included pictures of what the worksheet and chart should look like in the resources section on the activities page in Ozarka. But you'll go back to the beginning of the module where it shows the pictures of what the chart should look like, what the worksheet should look like, and make sure that you've got everything entered correctly. Also check your formulas. Make sure they're all correct. Again, I've included the formulas version of this worksheet under the resources heading on the assignment page in Ozarka. Alright, so just check everything before you upload it, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.